Hello and welcome back to our little 1997 Formula 1 season in AM2 in virtual reality. We're here in Silverstone for the Formula 1 1997 British Grand Prix with the old layout from back then. Today we'll be racing as McLaren's David Coulthard, who is looking for a good result here to finally kick off the season for McLaren, but so far has been underwhelming with only 3 points scored in the first 2 races, what makes them sit 6th in the Constructors' Championship. And now, without further ado, let's look at the starting grid for today's race. And like it was in Canada, Schumacher claimed pole position on Saturday, with Frentzen sitting in P2 for an all-German front-row lockout. Villeneuve in the second Williams, our championship leader, starting from P3. Then it is Alesi with a great qualifying session for the Benetton team. In 5th we see Irvine, then Berger, Fisichella, Hill. Ourselves as David Coulthard starting from P9 with our teammate Mika Häkkinen right behind us. 11th is Johnny Herbert and 12th Rubens Barrichello. And then on the second page we continue with Ralf Schumacher, Olivier Panis, Nicola Lorini, Jan Magnussen, Shinji Nakano, Pedro Diniz, Jos Verstappen, Jarno Trulli, Mika Salo and Ukyo Katayama rounding up the grid. And let's start the 1997 British Grand Prix. 5 lights are on and it's lights out. And away we go. Great start from David Coulthard here. We are alongside Giancarlo Fisichella already. And now trying to make a move into Kopp's corner against Gerhard Berger. Round the outside, and that worked. We are already up into P6 after turn 1. Now we're trying to get a good run through the S's to have the chance to make up another spot against Eddie Irvine on the hanger straight as well. But we don't get a good run through the S's, so we have to defend against Gerhard Berger, who was all over our back there, as seen in the mirrors. But we managed to get a little bit of a gap onto the hanger straight, but no chance for us to get any closer to Eddie Irvine and try to make a move on Eddie Irvine. Now we're going through Club Corner. This is the final corner nowadays, and the new pit straight is just here. But back then the pit straight was just after Woodcote, as we've already seen. And this part of the track unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. The Abbey chicane, Farm Straight, now bridge, the corner here, and Priory. That leads us back to Brooklands, which is where the old track meets the new one. And then we only have Lovefield and Woodcote to go for the first lap. And, well, when we get across the line, we will see how we're going into lap 2. But there haven't been any changes. The top 5 still running as they were starting this race. The only change is that David Coulthard, ourselves, are now sitting in P6 and now fighting for the points. Maybe this time we get a better run through the S's, but we are already struggling with tire temperature through here, which means we don't have the grip to really follow the Ferrari and get a good run onto hanger straight. A little bit later, we already can see that Irvine is not able to keep up with the top 4, so we need to make it past rather sooner than later into Bridge Corner. That didn't work, so we have to back out there, even though we had a good run on him there. But you really need to be fully alongside through these sweepers to make a move. But maybe we managed, with a good exit out of Lovefield, we managed to get a good run into Kopp's corner. This straight is a little bit longer. We get a good slipstream and we have the faster car in a straight line. We are alongside and we are going side by side into Kopp's corner, and he turns in on us. We managed to stay on the track and not spin around, but he has to take to the gravel, and we are now alongside going into Maggots and Beckett's trying to make a move, but he has the better line and he has more grip, and we lose a position to Gerhard Berger, who now inherits 6th from us, and we have to defend and look in our mirrors because Mika Häkkinen, who was starting from P10, also trying to make a move on us. But now we get a good run on the hanger straight, but he tries to make a move on Eddie Irvine, and we have to back out there to prevent a collision. Now he is side by side with Eddie Irvine, and Gerhard Berger makes it past Eddie Irvine. So we both lose a position in the aftermath of that almost collision in turn 1. Well, we touched. Our car feels fine, so the suspension hasn't taken any damage there. I think Eddie Irvine should be fine as well. Well, and now, exactly 1 lap later, we are pretty close, and we managed to get rid of Häkkinen, who was directly behind us. And again, on the pit straight, we get a good run on him. This time we choose the outside, but we are not far enough alongside to actually have a chance to make it past. And well, now through the S's again, but as I've mentioned earlier, our tires are really overheating, which makes us suffer in these S's, and there's no chance to get a good run here, which is probably the best overtaking spot on the track. Well, again, we move a little bit forward. We are close now, going through bridge. This time we might get a surprise attack into Priory done, and we lock up our tires and almost crash into Irvine. This time it would have been our fault. Don't know, the situation in Cobb's Corner probably was 50-50. We were as far on the inside as we could have done, and I feel like he turned in on us. But make up your mind on that yourselves. And now the gap 0.6, but this is not the current gap anymore, as we closed up on the hangar straight a lot. But they are really fighting, and we're really losing time behind them. I feel like we could go quicker in total, but we don't get a good run on them. And we don't manage to make a move against Irvine, who is now trying into Abbey against Berger. He didn't get a good exit, and now we might get another chance into Bridge, and then following Priory, and we make it past, this time with a locked front tire again, but we managed to make the corner, and we are past Eddie Irvine and back into P6. Now we are following Gerhard Berger, whom we have already taken around the outside of Cobbs at the start, but now we have to do it all again. Maybe for once we get a good run through the S's, and this time we manage to take a good line, and we have some grip. The situation with the tires got a little bit better now. And this is a good slipstream, and into Stowe we go. Here is alongside, but we have the inside line, and we take the position from Gerhard Berger. A little bit later, let's look at the updated standings, and at the front there have been some changes. Villeneuve is now leading the race ahead of Frentzen. Schumacher dropped down to P3, so both Williams got past him. Alesi, Coulthard and Berger then in 4th, 5th and 6th. And the gap now to John Alesi, you can see, is 3.8 seconds, and we can see him ahead there, and he's fighting with Michael Schumacher right now. Well, and he was fighting with Michael Schumacher and made it past, so he's now in P4 and our next target. We really managed to close the gap. Frentzen seemingly holding these two up, as Villeneuve has some seconds of a gap there. You could see him, he was already going out love fields. Oh, and Alesi runs wide in love fields. Schumacher makes it past, and maybe we get a good run, as his exit was really bad there. But we are not close enough to make a move into Cobbs this time. And he gets a better exit out there as well. Good run through the S's, but I don't think so. Yeah, the grip problems are back. Our tires once again overheating. Well, and the grip and the overheating is getting worse, and I think the tires are now pretty shot as well, as we have to take through the grass and gravel there in Abbey that we completely misjudged. And now, well, I think it is time for our pit stop. Yeah, we're really sliding now. These tires are completely cooked and we definitely need to change them. This is a little bit of an earlier stop that we have originally planned, but it isn't possible to race with these tires anymore. And well, we're pretty much the only ones in the pit lane right now. Here's our pit crew, and let's hope for a good pit stop. Tires are being changed right now, another set of slicks. Fuel to go to the end of the race. We hope that our tires work better this time, as we see, well, a Jordan there also coming into the pit, so we aren't the only ones that have decided to go for an early pit stop. Well, let's see what this does to our race. Last time in Canada, it was the best to stop as late as possible. We know how many positions Schumacher lost there. Well, but this seems to work pretty well for now, as we can go really quick even though our car is heavier. Now we have to get some traffic out of the way. This is Nicola Lurini who passed us while we were in the pits. But look at the grip we are now having round the outside of Lovefield. No problem whatsoever. So I think the new tires were a really good decision, because we can go very quick even though our car is heavier, as I've mentioned earlier. But I think this time it might just be the other way around, that an early pit stop with onto fresh tires might give you the chance for an undercut. And I believe this car we're seeing ahead there is John Alesi, so we actually moved pretty close to him. He was in the pits now as well. Yeah, that is John Alesi. And the gap to him was pretty huge after our 2 mistakes on our in-lap. So we managed to close that down. He came out of the pits in this lap, but let's see how quick he is on the fresh rubber. But there is another Sauber, that should be Johnny Herbert, and I believe it is Olivier Panis now in our way. This is the problem with the early pit stops, that you might run into traffic. But now let's see what we can do. We closed up in that lap to John Alesi a significant amount. We are already pretty close to him. Maybe we can get a good run onto the pit straight, and we are very close, and we know how quick our car is in a straight line. We are alongside Alesi, and now let's just hope that it doesn't end like it did with Irvine on the beginning of this race, but it works brilliantly, and we make it past the Benetton driver, and therefore gained a net position here. Let's see if we can also build a gap to him. But he was right with Schumacher and Frentzen when he came in to make his pit stop. So we might get the chance to attack these two as well when they will make their stop. Oh, running a little bit wide there. But now there is another 2 cars in our way. As I've mentioned earlier, these are Olivier Panis in the Prost and Johnny Herbert in the Sauber. And he stood in the way of some cars in San Marino, as some of you might remember. He pretty much secured Giancarlo Fisichella the surprise win there, as he was holding up Villeneuve and Schumacher for laps. But this is all in the past now. Let's focus on the race going on here. We're now almost alongside Olivier Panis. Now a good run onto the pit straight, and we make it past the Frenchman. And now let's hope that we can clear Herbert pretty fast as well, and we do, just ahead of Magus and Beckett. And the good news is that the grip of our tires... Oh, we almost mess up there. This had nothing to do with the grip. as now the temperatures are still fine, so we have no problem with overheating right now. And this is how we are going, how we are running right now. So no stops there in the first 6. We're now running in P7 and are the first car that already has 1 pit stop. And now coming out of Cobs, and what do we see there? A Ferrari, and this is Michael Schumacher. We are all over Michael Schumacher, who has now done his pit stop. So the early pit stop really working a charm here. The tires already starting to degrade a little bit, so I can't lie about that. But for now, the most interesting bit is that we are very close to Michael Schumacher, but not close enough to break alongside into Stowe. But we have to hope that we make it to the end of the race with our tires. We know that we had issues. We didn't make it to the halfway point for our pit stop, but we're still trying to go for the 1 stop. Whoa! Early braking by Schumacher there. Almost have to take evasive action. But now our favorite part of the track. This is where we can go a lot quicker than the cars ahead of us usually. And then try to make a move on the pit straight. And this is our plan as well in this lap. Getting a good exit, which we do. Now using the slipstream and all of our power to go alongside and to go past Michael Schumacher, and we again make it past at Cobb's Corner, which means we are running now probably in a net 3rd place. So this is actually a fight for the podium positions. The only drivers that haven't pitted yet are the Williams, and we could be in the pit window of Frentzen, so we might make it past the German when he does his pit stop. We are pretty much the fastest car on track right now, which is pretty good. Well, and now we are a couple of laps later in that race. About 10 laps to go from here. And Frentzen and Villeneuve have now made their pit stops. And actually, Frentzen dropped behind Schumacher and ourselves, which means the early pit stop really working well. And for now, there's no signs that we might not make it to the end of the race and have to pit for another set of slicks, as we're getting held up there by Ukyo Katayama and a Tyrrell. But we are running in the podium positions. Let's hope that it remains that way. Well, and we jump to the final lap of this race, and spoiler alert, we managed to nurse our tires home. We weren't able to keep up with, or we weren't able to close up, or to close the gap to Jacques Villeneuve with his fresh tires. He was also setting similar laps than we did, and well, at the end the overheating issue began again, but we make it home in P2, and this is the final results here. You can see the point scorers of today: Villeneuve, Coulthard, Schumacher, Frentzen, Alesi and Gerhard Berger, which means that the Drivers' Championship looks like this now. Villeneuve still ahead of Fisichella, Frentzen, Coulthard, Schumacher dropping down to 5th. Disappointing race for him. Again, then on the second page, Herbert Panis, Irvine Larini. Berger now with his first point of the season. Häkkinen with a lot of bad luck, still without any points. And these are the Constructors' Championship. No too dramatic changes. McLaren moves up into P4 with today's result. But the rest remains pretty much unchanged. Well, and that it is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd appreciate a like. If you want to see more, then subscribe, and well, check out the channel and the other videos on this channel. And well, The next race will be the German Grand Prix on the old Hockenheim ring. I hope to see you all there, and until then, goodbye.